All right, guys, let's get music as folks come into the room. You guys saw the headline, so let me prepare a lot of the stuff that I got going on. Present. Let me bring my channel into here. I'm pulling this originally from Fox News because that's where I got the notification from. But what I'll do is I will go look at some of the other liberal sites. I prefer to pull a lot of that news from the liberal sites because in many cases I get accused of shilling for the conservatives, and I just like to get everybody. Yeah, Minnie Trout, thank you for being here again. Minnie is always on these live streams, and I really appreciate when she sends me. And by the way, Minnie, you sent me some links last week, and I appreciate that. I use some of those links. Anytime you guys find some stuff relevant to the topics that we're talking about, always email them to me at paul@legallyarmedamerica.com. And Minnie, I appreciate that. Let me edit this one. And we're going to go ahead and put this out in the banner so when people come in, they know. There we go. Trump charge breaking. Former president indicted after Manhattan District Attorney's hush money investigation. And I'll kill the music now. I just like to do that as people are rolling into the room. Let's go right into this news story. Let me pull it up and we will read this together. Let's see here. You know what I'm going to do too, if you guys don't mind? I brought a beer out here, a Shiner Strawberry Blonde beer. These are really good. I don't know. Make sure you can see what these are really good. It's got the smell of strawberry, very obvious smell of strawberry. It's a good beer. Shinerbach makes it just over the border here in Texas.
I'm over the whole world.
Oh gosh, let me get rid of this. All right, friends. Former President Donald Trump has been indicted as part of the Manhattan District Attorney's Office's years-long investigation, possibly for hush money payments, which are legal, by the way. Manhattan District Attorney, who is a Soros-funded, Soros plant, Alvin Bragg, has been investigating Trump for hush money payments made leading up to the 2016 presidential election. Everything has been determined that all of what Trump attorney paid out was legal, and if Trump had paid it out, was also legal. So I don't know how they can make this stick. These include the $130,000 payment made to adult film actress Stormy Daniels and the $150,000 payment made to former Playboy model Karen McDougal. Remember, I don't know about the McDougal payment, but the Stormy Daniels payment was not made from Donald Trump. Donald Trump paid for it through his attorney, who paid the money out of his own pocket, took the loan out himself, paid for it, and then the guy billed Trump over the course of time for $130,000 worth of services through his legal firm. That's how Trump paid for it. So the $130,000 cannot be tied to Trump. I don't know enough about this $150,000 payment made to a former Playboy model. That I don't know. So my bad on that. I've just not investigated that. Hush money payments made to both McDougal and Daniels were revealed and reported by Fox News in 2018. Those payments had been investigated by the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York and the Federal Election Commission. Remember, they were investigated back then. Nothing ever happened. Federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York opted out of charging Trump related to the Stormy Daniels payment in 2019, even as Cohen implicated him as part of his plea deal. Now, Cohen, obviously, his own evidence exonerated Trump. The Federal Election Commission also tossed its investigation into the matter in 2021. This is not an indictment of a crime. There was no crime. Instead, this news is the indictment of a failed nation. CEO of Make America Great Again, Super PAC, Taylor Budewick, said in a statement, President Trump is promising to peacefully end the war in Ukraine, dismantle the deep state, save our country by putting America first. For that, the political elites and power brokers have weaponized government to try and stop him. They will fail. Budewick added, he will be reelected in the greatest landslide in American history, and together we will all make America great again. Bragg, who again, this is a Soros-funded district attorney in the Manhattan district, when he took over district attorney in January 2022, stopped pursuing charges against Trump and suspended the investigation indefinitely, according to one of his top prosecutors who resigned from the office in protest. Prosecutors Mark Pomerantz, Carrie Doon, who had been leading the investigation under former DA Cyrus Vance, submitted their resignations after Bragg began raising doubts about pursuing a case against Trump. I guess they saw the writing on the wall that this was a bogus case. Trump earlier this month cited reports which were based on what he called illegal leaks that suggested he could be arrested on Tuesday, March 21st. Trump posted about those reports on his True Social, blah, blah, blah. Republican lawmakers and allies of Trump blasted the investigation as a political prosecution and a weaponization of the office of the district attorney, which is absolutely what it is. Bragg last week claimed that Trump created a false expectation that his arrest was imminent, citing the former president's True Social post, and slammed the committee for making an unprecedented inquiry into a pending local prosecution. Well, apparently Trump was right, because here we are. You guys have indicted him. The letter only came after Donald Trump created a false expectation that he would be arrested the next day, and his lawyers reportedly urged you to intervene, Bragg wrote in a letter to the committee. Neither fact is legitimate basis for congressional inquiry. Well, apparently you guys are now doing it, so he was right. Last week, Robert Costello, a former legal advisor to Michael Cohen, testified before the grand jury last Monday that Cohen was a serial liar and testified that Trump did not know about the payments made by Cohen to Daniels. Bragg then canceled grand jury proceedings related to the Trump probe on Wednesday and Thursday. Sources at the time told Fox News Digital that there was major dissension within the district attorney's office. One source claimed the district attorney is having trouble convincing the grand jury on potential charges due to the weakness of the case. So Cohen in 2018 was sentenced to 3 years in prison. The guy's a serial liar, as they stated. Cohen paid Daniels the $130,000. The Trump organization grossed up Cohen's reimbursements for Daniels' payment for tax purposes, according to federal prosecutors who filed the 2018 criminal charges against Cohen for the payments. Trump had repeatedly denied wrongdoing with regard to the payments made to Daniels and McDougal, and has repeatedly said the payments were not a campaign violation, but rather a simple private transaction, which really, I mean, I'm no huge Trump supporter, but it looks like Trump has done everything right in this case. I want to see if they have so what does it mean now? Because I'm curious where we go from here. Ugh. Meanwhile, charges again. I'm trying to find out what's next. Okay. There's no what's next on here. So I'm just trying to see if someone has, let me do this. Indictment. Let's see who's got the sauciest news. This ought to be good. Let's take CNN's take on this. This should be good. They're going to talk about him going down to Guantanamo Bay and all kind of other cool stuff. These guys are loving it. They're dry humping each other right now. There's no doubt in my mind. Okay. In light of Donald Trump being indicted by a New York grand jury, U.S. Marshal, Secret Service, and New York Police Department are talking about how the former president will appear for his arraignment. Out of an abundance of caution, all personnel at New York NYPD headquarters and support units will be in uniform on Friday, according to an internal memo from the department. The memo also states that all uniformed officers should be prepared for mobilization at any time during their shifts. Posture will be revisited in the coming days based on information as develops. Okay, Trump has responded 12 minutes ago. Trump stated, "This is a political persecution and election interference at the highest level in history. From the time I came down the golden escalator at the Trump Tower, and even before I was sworn in as your president of the United States, the radical left Democrats, the enemy of the hardworking men and women of this country, have been engaged in witch hunt to destroy the Make America Great movement. You remember it just like I do. Russia, Russia, Russia. The Mueller hoax, Ukraine, 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 impeachment hoax 1, impeachment hoax 2, the illegal and unconstitutional Mar-a-Lago raid, and now this. The Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump But now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. Never before in our nation's history has this been done. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to discredit this guy. The Democrats have cheated countless times over the decades, including spying on my campaign, but weaponizing our justice system to punish a political opponent who just so happens to be a president of the United States and by far the leading Republican candidate for president has never happened before, ever. Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, who was handpicked and funded by George Soros, is a disgrace. Rather than stopping the unprecedented crime wave taking over New York City, he's right. He's doing Joe Biden's dirty work, ignoring the murders and burglaries and assaults he should be focused on. This is how Bragg spends his time. I believe this witch hunt will backfire massively on Joe Biden. The American people realize exactly what the radical left Democrats are doing here. Everyone can see it. So our movement and our party, United and Strong, will first defeat Alvin Bragg, then we'll defeat Joe Biden. And we're going to throw every last one of these crooked Democrats out of office so we can make America great again. So that's Trump's take on this. So let me. Do they even have a story on this? They've got a headline, but they don't have. Yeah, I don't understand why you can't click on any of their links. Probably like anything else CNN has where it doesn't work. Let's see if the New York Slimes can actually come up with something. I want to talk about a couple things real quick, though. Let's do this. While this is up there, okay, this is kind of what I see, all right? This was all done. They know this is a nothing burger. They know that there's nothing that they have on Trump. They know this, right? They absolutely know this. If they had anything on Trump, this would have all come out and come up during his presidential campaign because they wanted him out of office then. They weren't successful at that because they had nothing, which means they've still got nothing. What they're trying to do is tarnish his record and his image leading into the next presidential election because he's just ripping through right now, polling at record numbers right now. Trump's actually polling higher right now than he did before the January 6th insurrection. So he's super popular right now, super popular. I'm curious what you guys think, but let me tell you what my thoughts are on this. I really think the Democrats know they have nothing here. I think the Democrats know that everyone who loves Trump loves Trump. Everyone who kind of likes Trump kind of likes Trump. Everybody who's kind of lukewarm on Trump is lukewarm on Trump, and everyone who hates Trump hates Trump. This is not going to change anyone's mind. Nobody is sitting back there going, "Oh, I knew it. I knew it. Can't vote for the guy now." There's nobody out there thinking that. Everyone who would have voted for him still will. Everyone who would vote against him still will. This changes nothing. What I believe this does, this is my personal opinion. I have no stats, facts to back this up. I don't have links to share or anything. The Democratic Party knows, hey, if your kids are around, close your ears because I have to say this 4-letter word. So put your fingers in your kids' ears if they're around. I don't like to swear, but I have to this time. Everybody got their kids' volume turned down, kids not listening. Okay. Joe Biden is a shit candidate, and the Democrats know that. They know that if they ran Joe Biden against anybody else besides Trump, they might have a chance. They might have a chance at beating Trump. But they also know that Joe Biden is not a good candidate. He's a train wreck. He's an absolute mess. He's a sack of potatoes. He's a sack of rotting potatoes. He's worthless. He's a screw up. He can't speak. He can't think. He can't walk. A flight of stairs is the biggest challenge that Joe Biden has ever encountered. They've got a garbage candidate. If they can help Trump be a stronger candidate. In other words, there's no way Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump. There's not. And I'm no Trump loyalist. I have said plenty of things against Trump because he doesn't fully support the Second Amendment. I voted for the man twice, but he's not a strong Second Amendment supporter. I don't care what he says. His actions have shown otherwise. So Trump can't be beaten by Joe Biden. It is not possible. It would be when Ronald Reagan beat Dukakis. I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm old enough to remember looking back on it, especially how historic Reagan just absolutely whipping Dukakis was. Mondale too, but Dukakis was an absolute shellacking. Trump's would be bigger than that if he ran against Biden. However, the Democrats, even though they know they have nothing, if they can strengthen Trump a little bit more, like right now, Trump's strong, but they can't really admit that they can't beat Trump. You know what I mean? They can't say our candidate Joe Biden can't beat Trump. And let's not forget his running mate right now is Kamala Harris. Wow, what a power team that is, right? They know they can't beat Trump. I don't care. Trump could pick freaking Goofy from Disneyland as his running mate and destroy Kamala and Joe. So this way, the Democrats now can easily take this, put those. I know this sounds like a backwards thing for the Democrats to do, but let's hear me out. If they can push Trump's popularity a little bit more by indicting him, even though it's a nothing burger and they have nothing on him, if they can indict him and kind of psych up that crowd, that base that Trump has a little bit more to where he looks a little bit harder to beat, then they can go to each other and go, hey, if it wasn't for this indictment, Trump's popularity was okay. And we might've had a running chance if Joe Biden would have run against him. But boy, after this indictment, we kind of need somebody stronger. This is their chance to kick Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the curb. This is their way. This is their out. They now have their excuse. Now, this ain't being talked about openly in Democrat circles. I can promise you that. This is behind closed doors. This is Barack Obama and Susan Rice and Valerie Jarrett making phone calls to George Soros and everybody else to write these checks to get these people to do this. Because let's not forget, this DA in Manhattan, Bragg, had mentioned months ago that anybody that would press charges against Donald Trump because there was no case would be political suicide. And now this is the guy that's bringing these charges. So he's backtracked exactly on what he said. Why? Because he got these private phone calls. Because he's been told that during the next election, you're going to be in our cabinet or we're going to give you, I don't know, a cool ambassadorship somewhere. So this is the Democrats' underhanded secret way, in my opinion, only to pump Trump up enough to where they can go to their base in the DNC, the Democrat National Convention, and talk to all those people and say, we can't beat Trump with these jackasses that we currently have. We need somebody better. And then their hands are clean. In other words, right now they would have to come out and say, man, Joe, you can't win. It would make them look bad. It would look like they had a failed candidate from the beginning. It would make them look like they've had a failed candidate for 4 years. It would be a black eye on the Democratic Party going into the next election. And they can't have that happen. So they've got to find a way to go, oh no, this disaster just happened. Trump just got indicted and look what it did to his polling numbers. They're through the roof now. We can't run Joe Biden and Harris against him. He'll destroy them. We need a different candidate. And then they don't look bad for kicking Joe to the side. Again, the whole thing they're trying to avoid by doing this is to not be seen ejecting their candidate out of the White House. This way, they can convince Joe and Kamala, y'all can't beat this guy now because he just got a boost in popularity. Where without this, they might have thought they had a fighting chance. Now they know they don't. So I believe this is all underhanded. This is all done by design for the Democrats. I know it looks bad for the Democrats, but I think this is what they wanted all along so they can make this switch. I really believe this, look for probably in the coming months, probably leading into the fall, because we have some elections in the fall, some governor elections this fall. Look for these people to likely start distancing themselves more from Joe and maybe even talk Joe into not running. Everybody's been talking to Joe here lately, asking him, hey, are you running? Oh, I plan on running. Look for Joe to start answering that question a little bit differently now. They might have promised Joe some more China money or something like that to make him shut up. So don't be surprised if you start seeing Joe not seem as excited anymore about getting reelected, because they're going to start convincing him that he needs to back off because he couldn't possibly beat Trump with this boost in his popularity right now. Again, I know that sounds kind of far-fetched, but I mean, let's face it, that's how Washington works. And I do believe that that's the intent right now. And I think this is all being pushed behind the scenes by high profile Democrats. This ain't a Republican thing. This is people who don't really want this to happen. Everybody knows that this is going to boost Trump's popularity. That's all this is going to do, is embolden him even more. His poll numbers are simply going to go up. Like I said at the beginning of this live stream, his popularity is going to go up, but nobody has changed their stance on him. I'll bet you none of you on here that would not vote for Trump, I bet you haven't decided to vote for him all of a sudden. And I bet everybody who's on here who planned to vote for Trump before today is still going to vote for Trump. You haven't decided to suddenly pull your vote for Trump. Everybody who was going to vote for Trump yesterday is still going to vote for him tomorrow. And everybody who would vote against him yesterday is still going to vote against him tomorrow. None of that changes. So we've still got the same candidate running on the Republican ticket right now. And I mean, this is also going to boost him. I think where they feel like they might gain a benefit, the Democrats, is maybe they feel like if DeSantis enters a race, which I mean, he likely is, that now they're going to have DeSantis will have something against Trump. But DeSantis would be crazy to bring up anything about this indictment about Trump. In other words, to talk down on it or to use it to smear Trump. I don't think it would be a good idea for Ron DeSantis to do that. Speaking of DeSantis, it does sound like permitless carry in Florida is going to DeSantis's desk. In other words, it's passed through the House and the Senate in the state of Florida and is making its way to Ron DeSantis's desk. I don't know how soon. I think very soon, possibly tomorrow, that it will be making its way there. So I think you'll see some stuff over there. DeSantis is going to now this is going to help his popularity amongst the Second Amendment community, even though DeSantis has not been strongly pro Second Amendment in the past. And they still don't have open carry in Florida. But nevertheless, this is probably being done, at some point to get them there. And I agree with Rich. By the way, hi, Rich. Flying Rich says permitless carry is a nothing burger. It absolutely is. I mean, this is, again, you still don't have open carry over there. I think that that's a big thing. That's one thing that they looked at that I think they knew they didn't want to give all this. We're talking about Republicans in Florida that are poisoning the well, so to speak, with all these people. So that's where it's not the Democrats running everything in Florida for gun rights. It's the actual Republicans. And they put what they wanted to be on DeSantis's desk there. This is not what true gun, in fact, Rich is in Florida. This is not what gun rights advocates in Florida wanted, but they're being told that this is, it's a step in the right direction and all this, but it may be a step in the right direction, but this is meant to pacify the Second Amendment community in Florida so they'll shut up and go away, and so that these Republicans can start doing anti-gun things all over again. They don't want to have this open carry option thrown in there. Again, they could have included it here and they didn't. They didn't because they don't want it for whatever reason. And I think it was Rich that was telling me that the Visitors Bureau in Florida is who was adamantly against this, because they claimed that if people in Florida were all running around open carrying, that would hurt the tourism in Florida. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard, because people visit other states that have open carry. And let me break something to you. States that have open carry, all of you out there that live in these open carry states, like I do, Louisiana is an open carry state. I might see one person open carrying every 3 or 4 months. Maybe. I might have gone a whole year without seeing somebody open carrying. The notion that if you allow open carrying, which it sounds stupid saying allow open carry to me, because I live in a state where you can do it, but the fact that's an actual fact. The fact, if you allow open carry, that suddenly everybody is going to go buy a holster and start wearing that holstered gun on the outside of their waistband instead of the inside of their waistband is absolutely stupid. In fact, if you do go buy a holster, go to falcoholsters.com. That's my people over there. So I have a signature holster over there that I helped them design. So go buy my holster. If you're going to start open carrying, and you can't do it in Florida, but if you're going to open carry anywhere else, go buy you a holster at Falco Holsters. But nevertheless, this is one of those things where, again, as Rich said, it's a nothing burger. I mean, you've already got people over there, and for the most part, who want to conceal carry, who have permits already. So now they're going to be able to carry without having a permit that they've already purchased and they already have. Again, to have true permitless carry would have been, they shouldn't even call it permitless carry, because it should be called permitless concealed carry, because to have true permitless carry would be what the Constitution intended. And that would be no paperwork, no permission to carry a gun. I don't care if you're stacking them on top of your head, putting them in your back pocket, in a holster, where you put them. If you can carry a firearm in a state and you're not asking permission, that is true permitless carry. This is not. This is not what Florida's getting right now. So I hate to see that. And good to see you, by the way, Rich. This is one of those things where DeSantis, he's going to have this on his desk, and I know he'll sign it, because this would be absolutely crazy that he told them time and time again, get it to my desk and I'll sign it, and then he wouldn't sign it. Yeah, that'd be crazy. And my guess is the governor's office is probably the one that told some of these House Republicans, don't send something with open carry to my desk because I can't sign it. I will want to in the public eye, but I can't do it because I've got lobbyists and special interest groups that I'm going to piss off, because they don't want an open carry bill hitting my desk. So I'm not going to be able to sign that. So if you guys could, please don't send it to me with that. A lot of politics, a lot of sausage making going on in Florida, just like every other state out there. Just unfortunate. I see a lot of friends in the feed. Thank you guys for showing up. Again, back to the Trump thing. Let's see here. I'm just curious if anything else is popping up. I'm getting some notifications, making sure. Let me pull this up real quick and see if there's anyone else that has anything relevant on here. Wall Street Journal, grand jury votes to indict Donald Trump. Okay, let's see. It looks like it's a copy and paste from some of the other ones we already read, and literally copy and paste. This must be an AP story. Let's go up to the top. If it's an AP story, we'll find another one. It likely is, because this looks like word for word from what we read earlier. Yeah, it talks about Michael Cohen paying the money. This is a different statement here. The indictment could cut different ways for Mr. Trump politically. He has shown resilience among his supporters amid numerous legal issues and controversies, and has already used the threat of prosecution as a rallying point to raise campaign funds and argue that he is being charged unfairly for political reasons. At the same time, Mr. Trump's standing has eroded among some Republicans. Numerous polls have shown, and the case could make some voters more likely to support another candidate. Yeah, that's not likely. It says at this time, Mr. Trump's standing has eroded among some Republicans. They're probably talking about Republican, quote, leaders, because Republican voters and anybody, again, who would have voted for Trump before has not backed off of voting for Trump. They see this as garbage and a BS charge against him. So no one has changed their mind. So no one is going to all of a sudden decide, I think I'm going to vote for somebody else. This didn't change anybody's minds. It does say here that the Justice Department, even after they found all the documents in Joe Biden's garage, it says that the Justice Department is still investigating the handling of classified documents at Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, which were locked up, by the way, not in a garage, on the floor. Let's see. Investigating attempts by Mr. Trump and his supporters influencing Georgia's election. Oh, come on. There's the hooker. Let's see. That looks like it's about it. I think everything else is kind of like blah, 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 the same old stuff that we've read. Again, I believe this is, if it's not an AP story, it's a story that most of the AP people who would pull from the AP are also using. I'm going to run through your comments real quick, guys, and see what anybody has to share real quick, because I have a hard time between my eyes and my being able to actually focus on more than one thing at the same time, which is near impossible for me. I want to get an idea of what your thoughts are. Let's see. I want to look for my friends. Rose Blight and Minnie Trout were in here. They're always good in here. I want to see what everybody's thoughts are in here. And by the way, a lot of you guys in the room, thank y'all for showing up. This is always interesting to have some, if you want to call it breaking news. I think we all knew this was coming, but it just out of nowhere, they hit this today. Alexander Stordur, I guess, it says DeSantis is not running for president 24. He already said it after he won his second term for governor. Yeah, they all say that. They all say that. I mean, if y'all want to make bets on this, I'm willing to make bets on this. DeSantis is doing things that a candidate does before they announce they're going to run. No candidate who is in the middle of a term is ever going to come out until they're ready to come out and say that they are running. So, Alexander, while I appreciate your opinion on that, I'm not sure that I agree with that. I do believe that DeSantis is going to, in fact, announce his candidacy. Now, hey, if he doesn't, that'd be remarkable that he doesn't. But I think the fact that Trump and them have already started to attack DeSantis shows that they know he's running. You follow what I'm saying? If these people talk, not only do they talk, there's leaks within their administration. God, you remember the leaks during Trump's administration. I mean, there was leaks every week. These people know what the other potential candidates are doing. So the Trump organization, better than we know, they know what DeSantis is planning to do. They know. So it's a very good idea to look towards how Trump is treating DeSantis as to whether or not DeSantis is really planning to run. And everything that I look at right now is saying that the way Trump is treating DeSantis and talking about him, he considers him a threat. Otherwise, why would he waste his time if DeSantis were not running? Now, it'd be huge if DeSantis all of a sudden did not run. Because again, if DeSantis doesn't run, that means Trump runs through the entire primary unscathed. Yeah, there's other people running on the Republican ticket. Nobody else that can pull any votes from Trump. You might get some Nikki Haley could possibly win South Carolina. I don't even think she can. That's where she's from. I don't think she could in a primary, even though that's a strong one. You know, it's a big state to carry early on in the primaries. But I don't see her carrying that. I just think Trump is too strong in some of these states like that. So if DeSantis doesn't run, Trump walks away with the nomination, just walks away with it, runs away with it. He could stumble drunk away with it, and he'd be fine with it. Let's see. Looking at you guys' comments. LF Cam says, you can see how the media vomit is spewed on U.S. citizens to attack the opposing candidate, Trump DeSantis 2024. That would be an absolutely unbeatable candidate. But I think too much damage has been done between a lot of the stuff Trump has said and some of the small things that DeSantis has said that Trump's not going to be okay with. Trump kind of holds a grudge, you know. I don't know that this I didn't know, but that's interesting. Ron Work says DeSantis is down over 23% over Trump. Down over 23% under Trump, I guess. So meaning Trump is over him by 23%, I suppose. And that could be because DeSantis has not announced his candidacy. I mean, let's be fair about this. Yes, it could still be that if DeSantis had announced his candidacy, but it may be that people are not putting much of their weight behind DeSantis because they're not sure that he's running or not. So they're willing to say, yeah, Trump is who I would vote for. I mean, that's possible. Just being fair with how this is looking at. Here's another one. Gerald Blackburn says last poll, Trump 63%, DeSantis is about 20%. Wow. That's a massive one there. Yeah, that's huge. That's humongous. That's a massive lead. But again, it could be because DeSantis has not declared that he's going to run yet. If Trump goes down and make him a martyr, it will set precedents to take down the entire establishment, both sides. Yeah, this is probably true. You're probably right. Yeah. Minnie Trout. I can't handle another Kamala Harris type person. That's just too much, man. Kamala Harris has the likability of Hillary Clinton. I could not stand the sound of Hillary Clinton. I would rather listen to a dentist drilling on my teeth than Hillary Clinton. And then along came Kamala Harris. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was sure that there was nobody that I disliked more than that screechy sound of Hillary Clinton. And here we go with Kamala Harris. Great. Kamala Harris is way more effective on her knees under a desk because she is totally worthless and ineffective in her current role. She is an absolute idiot. She is the epitome of a bad token hire. She was hired because she's a woman. She was hired because she's black. Her qualifications are nil, nothing, zero, zilch. She's a garbage candidate. She couldn't win a single point in a primary. What was she polling at? 2%? Pretty sure she was polling at 2%. And Biden picked her as his running mate. That is a straight up token hire right there. And look what you get when you get token hires. You get garbage candidates that can't produce. If they had a decent vice president, people wouldn't bag on the Biden administration quite as much because at least somebody would be doing their job. They're both idiots. Joe Biden is an unconscious idiot. Kamala Harris is a conscious idiot. She's stupid in her non-coherent state. We expect Joe Biden to be incoherent because he's half asleep. He's a walking vegetable. I don't have high expectations for Joe Biden. He's a freaking potato. But Kamala Harris is a conscious human being who's not suffering from advanced stages of dementia. And she still can't put a freaking sentence together. It's amazing the White House or the Biden Harris administration, how they could put together two absolute losers and still win an election. I'm just going to say that because none of us know what really happened in that election. Not going to get into that right now. Let me see. American Muscle says media went silent when they heard the shooter was a transgender. Now they indicted a man from soothing down back in maybe that's a different word you're putting in. What a bunch of clowns. But you're absolutely right. You know, the media had to do something to hide their support of a person who killed children. Let's face it, that's what they had to do. The media needs a distraction because they were not speaking out against the Nashville shooter. They were trying to find a way to make this a gun issue quickly rather than a person issue because one of their poster children killed those children and those innocent people in Nashville. So this had to go away quick. So yeah, the timing of this is suspect, if you want to call it that, because this is definitely not, it seems pretty planned, if you ask me. It's interesting how we can sit here and see things like this going and not question it. But that Nashville shooting, I have a video clip, and I'm going to see if I can find it real quick, of Don Lemon. I'll just let you hear his words. I want you to hear how apologetic Don Lemon is. I'm just going to play the audio because I got it on my phone. But Don Lemon, you know Don, that's the gay guy on CNN who has horrible ratings. He is interviewing supposedly the person that the transgender killer in Nashville, Tennessee, was a friend of hers that she had texted, or I don't think she spoke to. I think she messaged her or texted her earlier in the day before she actually shot those kids and that person. I want you to hear how Don Lemon almost apologizes for the trans killer and not sure what pronoun he's like, giving the respect to a child killer that is not due that person. I want you to hear this.
Resonated with Audrey, that's all I knew. But as I'm watching it, I'm learning more and more.
Thank you very much. Just for clarification, and look, there's information still coming in yet to be confirmed. And so I just wanted to ask you about that since you had a relationship at one point. So walk us through what happened then.
Okay. Was that not the clip that I wanted?
I resonated with Audrey. That's all.
Oh, maybe I cut it off too soon. I'm sorry. Let's see if I must have cut that off. Golly, I'm going to find the clip and I'm going to post that clip because there was a clip out there that basically had Don Lemon tap dancing around what he was supposed to call the gender pretender. So I think it goes to show the media doesn't want to bag on this killer, even though the killer killed innocent people and killed children at a church. Of course, they're probably happy that people died at a church, knowing the mainstream media. But the very fact that this was one of their people, they kind of need this to go away. Yes, it adds to their gun numbers so that they can continue to tout their anti-gun rhetoric. But remember, a lot of these, quote, mass shootings and school shootings that they talk about are gangbangers that are driving by a school at 3 a.m. in the morning and shoot each other. So we don't hear about what happened. We just hear about that number getting plucked out and put into the category. If nothing else, this fed their numbers. They're going to celebrate those 6 deaths, especially that 3 of them were children. That's a good thing for them. They're checking those boxes off, and they're happy and proud that they can fundraise off of those deaths. What they're not going to do is want to talk anymore about the person who pulled it. And again, we've got 3 other trans that did similar shootings here. I think the last 3 shootings were from misgendered people. And I say misgendered, self-misgendered or mis-self-gendered or however you want to call it. People who pretended to be something that they were not. So very much looking like this has to go away for the media. So with this Trump thing coming up when nobody kind of expected it, it wasn't really expected to come out today. It gives you the feeling that, hey, we're picking a news story that we can finally run with because the Orange Man is back in the news. Now we can start talking about Orange Man again. Orange Man's still bad. We don't have to talk about one of our own, which is a gender pretender that killed a bunch of people. So it's a lot easier for them to stomach this Trump story because they've been salivating over this and they've already got all this stuff written. I mean, half of their headlines were pre-written and ready to go as soon as this hit the wires today. So I think that if we can at least, we got to look at the media objectively. The media doesn't care about informing us. The media is all about telling us what somebody wants us all to think and feel and what the agenda could be. They're the mouthpiece of propaganda like nothing else. That's why most people are getting their news online anymore. I may not have the contacts and others on like Flying Rich and John Crump. They may not have the, we as a collective have the contacts that a lot of these media people do, but let's not forget that the media, their contacts are usually with each other. So it's reasonably not good data or tainted data that they're sharing amongst each other. We're getting information from better sources, more reliable sources, more trustworthy sources, and usually boots on the ground is where we're getting a lot of our information from. And mainly because we're using the mainstream media's posts like this one right here that I'm showing you. But the data that we're getting in a lot of cases, especially on this Second Amendment stuff, is mainly gotten from trustworthy sources. In a lot of cases, we can't even say where we got it from. We just know that it's reliable, so we're putting it out there. The mainstream media is not to be trusted anymore. They're just not. Trump used to say it before. I think people were scared to say this out loud, but the mainstream media truly is the enemy of the state because they're absolutely giving bad information to the American people to try to get them to run with these stories, to try to create a narrative that everybody else can fall into. It amazes me how weak-minded people are, that they believe all this stuff, how quickly they will jump on some of these stories because they want to believe them. Asterisk K says, legally on America, what sucks is this murder is going to be used as an excuse to label an entire group rather than focusing on hardening these schools so any murder is stopped. Yeah, this is true. The thing is, you have right now a group of people in the anti-gun movement. This is where their confusion is also. They're so used to labeling gun owners anytime there's a shooting. You and I, we are the bad guys because we are part of a group who owns guns. To imply that every single one of us is bad because somebody else used a gun to kill people is ignorant. Just like to imply that every single one of these gender pretenders or trans killers, or I shouldn't say trans killers, us acting like every gender pretender is a trans killer is wrong. As I stated in my video yesterday, it's small-minded and it's ignorant. We don't think like that. I know that every single gender pretender out there is not a mass shooter, rampage killer, anybody that's going to go out and shoot a bunch of kids at a church. I know that. Do I think that they're sick in the head? I do. I think they have issues that they need to get treatment for and get help for, but I don't think that they're all killers. So we're reasonable enough to realize that we cannot pigeonhole an entire group because of the actions of a couple of bad apples who are pieces of crap. But yet they can't reason like that. Their side can't do that. And I'm not talking about a party side necessarily. I'm talking about a belief system. This isn't about political parties. It's about people who think rationally and morally are good people and garbage people. I don't mean people who are delivering trash. I mean people who are garbage. So that's where the divide is. The divide, again, is not a political party divide. It's a morality divide. And they can't think like we can. They want to throw all of us in the same category and generalize that when one psycho kills people, suddenly every single gun owner is bad and we need to take your guns from you. That's where these people cannot think rationally. And of course, yeah, you're right. None of the talk has been about hardening our schools. None. Okay, a door was locked. Really? Your door was locked. It was a glass door. I could have kicked it in. I could have probably shouldered it in. I could have used a crowbar, a brick, a landscape stone, a big rock. If you have a glass door at an entryway of a door, locking it is great because what it's going to do, it's going to keep your Jehovah's Witnesses out. It's going to keep your Girl Scout cookie sellers out. It's going to keep all those people out because they're going to tug on that door and see that it's locked and they're going to walk away from it. If you really are using that glass door to keep your children safe, you're stupid. You didn't harden your school. All you did is create a speed bump. You did not create a roadblock. What we need to be doing is creating roadblocks from our schools, not speed bumps. If we're making them take a little bit more time to get into the school before they start killing people, that's not good enough. We need to keep them out of the schools. If you want to have glass on there, I can promise you could afford. I've saw this school. You could have had bulletproof glass on there. Put a wooden door on there or a solid core door of some sort where at least it takes a little bit longer to get in. I know every door can be gotten into. Almost every door can be gotten into at some point over a period of time. But you can at least make it a little bit harder so this person's not shooting a couple of rounds through the glass and then walking straight through the door. Slow them down a little bit more than what that is. This school was not hardened. Locking a door is not hardening a school. I'm sorry. That is just not the case. Ask anybody in security or any legitimate person in law enforcement. They will tell you, yeah, you lock a door. All that's doing is keeping an honest person out. My dad used to tell me all the time at our house, that locks are only for honest people. Of course they are. I mean, we respect a locked door. I think most of us would respect it if it was unlocked because it's not our house. We don't walk right into it. These people don't. A solid oak door. Let's see. Houdini C says, I find it ironic that the shooting took place the day before the vote for the pistol brace rule was supposed to take place, and one of the weapons it had was a PBAR. That's right. The stabilizing brace AR that was not even used was definitely talked about on some media outlets. That's the ideal way that they are purposely deceptive in the news media. They all knew that the gun that was used to kill those 6 people was not the one that had the pistol brace on it. Yet they had to mention the pistol brace was used, their words, not mine, that the pistol brace rifle was used in the shooting. They say that to make the implication that it was actually fired, but it was only carried around the neck of this gender pretender. So, I mean, it wasn't like there was any shots fired from it. I've heard some people say that it's possible that the 5.56, the AR, was used to shoot the glass out, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, this person came through the door with their sub 2000 already in hand. I don't think they did that. I mean, I think one or the other. In fact, if you think about it, just from the type of round and the mass of the round, the bigness of the round, and the slower speed of the 9mm, you're probably going to be a little bit more effective shooting out a glass door with a 9mm than a 5.56. The 5.56 is likely just to poke a little hole through it. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, it's not bulletproof glass. So if it's not bulletproof glass, the 5.56 is probably going to be a little bit ineffective. Is it going to weaken the glass? Of course it is. But I believe that 9mm round, just have that bigger mass hitting, is more likely to shatter more of the glass instead of poking a hole through it. So my guess is as fast as this person came through that glass door, I'm pretty sure they were still using the sub 2000. So that's just my guess. Again, do I know? No, I don't know. I'm an idiot on some of that stuff. So whatever. I mean, I do guess a little bit on my channel because I have to sometimes. Going through your comments one last time, guys. Corporate Carl says, I recall some buildings and schools in the 60s and 70s had a fine crisscross wire inside the glass. I remember that. So shooting it would still not collapse and be able to walk. It looked like chicken wire. I know exactly what you're talking about. And if you look at some old buildings, a lot of times you see some old courthouses, even some old churches still have that clear glass, or sometimes it was a foggy glass, but it looked like chicken wire. If you guys, I know it sounds like a country boy here, but I was raised on a farm with chickens. You had chicken wire that like little octagonal circles in it. And the glass looked like it had that same type of wiring inside that glass. So that seemed to me to be pretty effective as well, because your glass is not just going to come apart and allow somebody to get through there. So I agree with that. That's a great point. Oh, I did not realize this. Gino Sackdaddy says Shannon Watts' address got released on 4chan. Man, I'm not about doxing. I'm not about that. I'm not going to say anything about it because she's trash. She probably gets whatever she deserves. Any visitors she gets, but yeah, I'm not about that. I've had people try to tell people where I live before, and my stuff ain't hidden. But nevertheless, it is one of those things where I don't like doing that because I think it's wrong. And the reason why I think it's wrong is because people have kids. I know Shannon Watts is a little bit of a hooker, but I'm assuming she has kids, and I don't care how bad or toxic a person is. Their kids don't need to be brought into it. And that's just my own personal opinion. I feel like some things are off limits, and children are definitely off limits. That's just me. But just being kind of respectful, because the children, I think children are misused and used in a lot of cases incorrectly, and that should not be the case. Let's see, guys. I think if you guys have any questions, I will open this up to the floor real quick before we bug out of here. Give me a chance to grab another pull off of my beer. Again, I'm drinking a Shiner Strawberry Blonde. It's a good beer. It's got a really sweet strawberry smell to it. I know it sounds like a sissy beer, but it's just a regular beer that has a strawberry flavor to it. It's really good. It's not like a wine cooler. It's a beer. It's an actual beer. Surely it says beer on here. If it says wine cooler anywhere on there, I'm going to kill the live stream, by the way. Thank you. Gerald Blackburn says he's out. Good show. Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys, everybody hanging out here. Thank y'all. Oh, hang on a second. What we got here? I want to make sure I'm being fair to everybody. RX says just got here. What is the news summary? The news summary, RX, is that Donald Trump, the grand jury did decide to go ahead and indict Donald Trump. Hey, 2AEDU, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. As always, you don't have to do that. None of you guys have to support the channel. I do appreciate you guys supporting it, but I don't expect that. But it means a lot when you guys do that, and I appreciate you, bud. So Trump has been indicted on these charges that he paid 2 porn stars or 2 chicks money, hush money, during the 2016 or leading up to the 2016 campaign. We all know that where one of them came from. Michael Cohen paid that, so that one for sure is not on Donald Trump. But the George Soros funded, and I'm not saying that just as a dark web type thing. I mean, George Soros literally paid $40 million to get this Bragg guy elected as DA in New York. So that's how this happened. And pretty much, I think next week there will probably be, they're saying possibly tomorrow, but I think it's more likely going to be next week that something happens in New York where they formally charge him or something like that. So, I mean, we'll see about that. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have the document yet. Checkpoint says, where's the document? I don't have it yet. I haven't seen it yet, actually. Where was this at? Would you ever go to Oktoberfest in Germany? Man, don't tempt me, but I don't mind telling you this. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust people letting me back into the country. I don't trust people outside the borders of United States because I think that people hate us so much. But at the same time, I don't trust the federal government to let me back in without any trouble. I had a quick trip to DC in December, and I wasn't there an hour. And I'm standing on a street corner talking to Capitol Police about something I took a picture and a video of. So yeah, I just don't think that I'm loved too much. CZ Fan 69 says, who was the other porn star he allegedly paid? McDougal. The last name is McDougal. It's possible that it's right inside here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure it will be. $130,000. Stormy Daniels. And you would know now this article is not going to mention McDougal, but there is, I want to say Sharon, but I don't think it's Sharon. Hopefully Sharon McDougal is not some nun. I just call a nun a porn star. That would probably set me back from getting into heaven a little bit. Take me a little bit longer, I guess. But yeah, I don't know the other lady's name. I don't recall. Tim Pavlov says, if it was already settled, wouldn't that be double jeopardy? Man, I don't think it's been technically settled, like legally, but I do believe that it's considered a private transaction, which is not against the law. So I don't think there's these charges can't stick. In other words, nothing will happen. He won't be prosecuted. He won't be, he's charged, but he nothing's going to happen. This will go away. There's no doubt. Let's see. Yeah, Checkpoint says, so do we charge Biden for showering with his granddaughter and giving his son billions through multiple money laundering? Man, honestly, I think everybody in D.C. is crooked and scumbags. But yeah, the whole daughter thing, that bothers me more than anything. I know we joke about Sniffy Joe sniffing all these kids and groping all these children, and certainly not implying that that's okay. But his daughter's diary is talking about how, he would make her take showers with him. That's man, come on, man. I can't even talk about that. That's too creepy. My channel will get deleted talking about that. Mike Bergman says, what are we being distracted from? Great point. As we talked about earlier, it's very possible that we're being diverted to not be talking about the gender pretender that shot up the church or school in Nashville, Tennessee, because that is a golden child for the left-leaning media and the White House and all of the wackos in this country. So I have a feeling that this is a diversion. They'd rather us not be talking about that. Certainly the news media does not want to have to say anything negative about a gender pretender, even if they are a murderer and they have been busted trying to cover and run cover for that same person. So it's just, there's something. It's something, man. I know this without a doubt. Let's see. Just looking at you guys' comments. Yeah, this was funny. Minnie said, I'm definitely non-binary. That's pretty good. You can make a shirt with that on it. That's pretty funny. All right. What else, guys? Any other questions before we get out of here? If you have anything, I'll take another pull off my beer. That's a really good beer. Strawberry Shiner Bock. Very good beer. I mean, I don't know how they managed to get the taste of strawberry. And I'm not usually a big fan of strawberry, but God, that's really good. Again, guys, that's the beer I'm drinking. It's Shiner out of Texas. I'm here in Louisiana, so it's our neighbors over there that make this. And I think this is a seasonal one. I think they take their normal Shiner Blonde, which is a light beer, and they make this out of it. Springtime, I think, is usually when you can get it. It's pretty good. Good stuff. That's the distraction. Distract you from me drinking a beer is what it is. Guys, I feel like I got to get out of here. I'm wasting your time. I know a lot of you are on here. In fact, there's hundreds of you on here right now. I absolutely appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I always do, because I know you got something better to do than spend your time with me, but it means a lot to me when you guys do spend your time on here. Yeah, I think I'm going to get, I think I've coined this term. I've been using it for about 3 days now, and a lot of people are liking it. I just said it because it sounded cool, and it was funny. But I think I'm going to make a shirt that says something like that, not a gender pretender or something like that, because that's certainly caught on. I've had a lot of people message me and ask me if they could use that on their videos, and I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, it's not like I coined or patented it or whatever, trademarked it. Rock on, but it is funny. It is funny because it's true. It's absolutely true. So, no, I have not. Have you ever tried desert pepper tequila salsa? No, I have not. What in the world is that? Desert pepper tequila salsa. I have never heard of that. So is it salsa that has some tequila in it? I assume. I mean, I guess that's what it is. It sounds very interesting. I'm not going to say it sounds good because I'm not a big tequila fan. Thank you. Ryan says, I like this channel. I do too. I enjoy this channel, and I really enjoy when you guys are hanging out with me after a live stream. I see a bunch of you leaving out of here. I know I'm dragging this on, so my apologies for that. Guys, have a good evening. I will be back tomorrow. Probably have a video on the stabilizing brace lawsuit from Firearms Policy Coalition being struck down, sadly, by a George W. Bush appointed judge. That I don't think it's going to have a ripple effect, because I believe the GOA lawsuit that's coming up has a lot more meat to it and is more likely to have some sticking power to it. So we'll see. But nevertheless, that did get struck down today, and it got denied. So sad that we have that happen. A little bit of bad news, but hey, in North Carolina, they overrode a veto of the governor over there on some gun laws. So that's a beautiful thing. Definitely have the rules of our republic are finally being exercised a little bit, instead of the same old stuff always happening in lockstep with one another. Finally, it looks like we've got a few people who are thinking outside the box and realize that we will bounce their butts out of office if they don't start voting the way the constituents that put them in office expect them to. So the voters in North Carolina got a really big boost with that override over the governor. So that was pretty cool. I may put something out on that as well. So guys, I'm going to get out of here. Have a great evening. Please be safe. Stay locked and loaded. Watch your back. Watch your neighbor's back. Watch your brother's back. And hopefully I'll be out here at some point tomorrow. Either I'll do some live streaming or just maybe upload the videos, and I'll be lurking in the comment section when we do those premieres. So thanks, guys. Have a great evening. We'll talk to you all soon.